to welcome us to the seventh series in our audit and assurance lessons. My name's Ngandalo Joseph, and I hope that everything is okay out there. Today, I want us to focus on planning, and on our focus, we have got audit planning, of course, and then we have got audit documentation. So, why is it important to plan for your next audit engagement? Well, the objective of the auditor is to plan and perform the audit so that it can be performed in an effective manner. And so planning for your next engagement enables you to be effective as an auditor. You have to know exactly what you want in terms of audit evidence so that you don't take too much time. Remember, again, if we don't plan for our audit, that might cost us. ISAs and audit planning can be juxtapositioned in the sense that, as a minimum, it is a requirement under ISA that we should plan our audits. Now, we should carry out our audit in accordance with ISAs. If we do that, then we shall be able to fulfill our mandate as auditors. That is on the first point. Compliance with ISAs allows the user of audited financial statements to have reasonable confidence in one auditor's opinion. Also, when we comply with ISAs, our audits will have that internationally approved quality, our audit output, and also the last point says, compliance with ISAs provides a measure to assess the standard of an auditor's work. Okay, so when you discuss or deal with planning, you are really dealing with two things. There's what we call preliminary engagement activities as well as planning activities. So initially, as we are about to engage with our clients, we need to look at ethical requirements. Are we qualified to undertake a particular audit? Then secondly, we need to establish the terms of the engagement. This helps to improve understanding, especially on the part of the client, as to what the audit is all about. Planning activities. Now, this involves the development of an audit strategy, and I'll discuss what it is all about in a bit, and also an audit plan to be discussed in a bit. So the audit strategy sets out the scope, timing, and direction of the audit and guides the development of a detailed audit plan. In short, the audit strategy sets out the what is to be audited. The audit plan, on the other hand, brings out details. It indicates the detail of how you're going to carry out the audit. The audit plan converts the audit strategy into a more detailed plan and includes the nature, timing, as well as extent of audit procedures in order to obtain sufficient, appropriate audit evidence, of course, to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level. All right, now, why do you want to go for your audit planning? Reasons, and this is a highly examinable portion in terms of at least theory questions. We plan for our audits because we want to devote appropriate attention to important areas of an audit, the important areas of the audit. Remember, important areas of an audit must be assigned to experienced members of staff. We discussed that under risk assessment. Your audit plan will identify and resolve potential problems on a timely basis. Think about an auditee that has got different outlets or several outlets within the country. You want to ensure that you cover a substantial number of outlets so that your audit evidence will be adequate with regards to the group that you're going to be auditing. The audit planning organizes and manages the audit so that it is performed in an effective manner. I think that has been alluded to already. You'll be able to select team members with appropriate capabilities and competence when you plan for your audit. So if we're going to audit a bank, we need somebody who has got some experience there. Audit planning directs and supervises the team and reviews their work. That is enables coordination of the entire work to be done. Then audit planning effectively coordinates the work of others, such as experts, as well as the internal audit. We need to know when these come in, and we need to foresee their attachment to our work. In your audit planning, you are going to carry out what is known as analytical procedures. Now, this includes obtaining an understanding of the entity and its environment, because then you'll be able to assess areas which are susceptible to material misstatements, and then you'll be able to devise those effective procedures that will enable you to come up with sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Your analytical procedures helps to identify the existence of unusual transactions and assist the auditor in identifying risks of material misstatements or indeed fraud. Auditors must undertake interim audit as part of their endeavor to minimize the workload at the final stage of the audit. The auditor must consider the timing of audit procedures, whether to carry out an interim audit and a final audit, or just a final audit. That will depend, of course, on the size of your clients. Interim audits can be completed partway through a client's accounting year. This allows the auditor to spread out their procedures and enable more effective planning for the final stage of your audit. We need also to consider the impact of fraud in our planning activities. Auditors' responsibility relating to fraud in an audit of financial statements recognizes that misstatements in the financial statements can arise from either fraud or indeed error. I think we already made mention of the fact that error is a very important piece of information. Fraud rather. Error and fraud rather should be an important piece of information for your audit, because that will affect your audit opinion. The distinguishing factor between error and fraud is that in fraud there is an intention to gain financial or material advantage, and that can be subject to what we call criminal investigations. Audit documentation. ISO 230 audit documentation requires auditors to prepare and retain written documentation that, let me just make a simple adjustment to that one. So documentations in this case will ensure that we okay, so apologies for that disturbance, but let's see here. ISA 230 audit documentation requires auditors to prepare and retain written documentation that records auditor's basis for the audit opinion and provides evidence that the audit was planned and performed. Your audit documentation must indicate that there was assist the engagement team. Your audit documentation rather assists, I should say, the engagement team to plan and to perform, the audit, and as well as review the work of those who do the work, the audit, those who are helping you to conduct the audit. Audit documentation assists members of the engagement team responsible for supervision to direct, supervise, and review the audit work. Your audit documentation enables the engagement team to be accountable for its work, so work must be acknowledged, and then helps you to retain a record of matters of continuing significance for future audits. So this is what we have here. So I'd like to thank you very much for listening. I invite you to make submissions on that line if you have got any questions.